Let me ask you a question. When money shrinks in federal funding, who actually pays the price? Because it's never the people making the decisions, and it's almost never the people writing the policies. It is usually the people who are living closest to the edge. Welcome to Live for Free, where we transform lives through real estate. And we've been talking about what we must do to prevent a housing collapse, because we are close to one, but we must step in. And for the last few episodes, we've talked about the warning signs as well as the system imbalance. So today, we're going to talk about what happens next when those imbalances begin to move through the system. Not hypothetically, mechanically. So let's jump right in. Now, this is where homelessness actually begins. See, most people think that homelessness starts when someone loses their job, or they make a bad decision, or they're experiencing a personal crisis. And that is sometimes true, but it's usually true at the individual level. But at the system level, homelessness starts when access quietly disappears. And let me explain why. See, when funding tightens, you've got programs that do not close with headlines. Like, you don't see a big deal about it when that happens. They usually just do those things internally. So funding, they change the funding guidelines on a particular RFP that somebody gets. You'll just see agencies that'll go and make changes, and they'll start moving money as they need to move it. So you rarely see them making a big headline about it, right? Then the eligibility also becomes narrower. So the ways in which you become eligible for it, it gets tighter. And sometimes the document requirements increase. These are things that happen, and sometimes even the timelines shorten. So technically on paper, everything looks good. Funding looks in place, but really it's not. And this is how people fall through the cracks that were designed to look orderly. So once you think about that, you've got housing providers, those individuals who are receiving the funding, they're the ones who are going to feel it first, because those programs that they took the time to prop up, make wonderful, get some results. And I've seen some amazing programs, by the way, that several agencies have done, housing providers have put in place that and are just beautiful. But the way they're set up, or even where the margins are even in good conditions, but they're so thin. They're operating on a thin budget already. So when that funding contracts, then you've got the supportive services that are going to be reduced as a result of that before they're going to eliminate any housing. And then you've got case managers that are stretched. You've got staff that is overworked. You've got staff that is turning over. You're spending money providing training to people. All of these things happen. And then you've got oversight that then weakens. These are things that happen when funding is reduced. And the housing technically remains, but the support that makes it work begins to disappear. So imagine how you're able to run a successful program when your support services are gone. You still want to be able to create outcomes, but it's difficult to do. And when that support disappears, then the stability disappears with it. So people who were making progress are now stalling. And then you've got people who were barely stable who are now slipping backwards. These are things that happen, and not because they failed, but because the structure holding them was weakened. So now that you understand that, this is what most operators deal with as we look at funding. And when these smaller operators are trying to stay afloat because of those thin margins, eventually they start to exit. They start closing their doors because they can't keep them open. So local organizations without deep reserves cannot absorb the delayed payments that come, or the increased compliance costs, or funding uncertainty. They have to be able to figure out how they're going to make it work. And they closely move in a space where they just simply close their doors. Now, when they close, Who's impacted? The residents. And they don't disappear because they can't disappear, but they end up dispersing. So when you've got residents, because a program closed and they have to find somewhere to go, most programs already are full. Most housing that's available, that's affordable, is already full. So as they disperse, they're dispersing to the places where they know where to go, which the emergency shelters have to absorb them. You've got family members who end up letting people stay on their couch, so now you got couch surfing happening. They absorb them. And you've got vehicles that unfortunately are the places where people are absorbed. And some people simply disappear from the system altogether. This is how homelessness grows without being counted. And by the time encampments increase, the damage has already been done. Now we're seeing the impact of that today. I've gone to several cities, and as I travel, I see their homeless encampments growing. I see more homeless on the streets, and cities are doing what they can to respond reactively. So you've got emergency funds that are being deployed, you've got temporary shelters that are opening, you've got law enforcement that are now becoming involved. All of this costs more and solves less. So as you look at what we're dealing with as a country, these things impact us significantly. And because emergency responses treat symptoms, not causes, that is a problem. And what makes this moment especially dangerous is timing. We are not entering contraction from a place of strength. We're entering it at a place of weakness. You've got housing operators who are already burnt out. You've got staffing shortages that are already existing. I see some caseworkers that have so many on their caseload that they can barely handle it. And they're turning over because they can't handle the caseload. And affordable housing inventory, it doesn't even exist because it's already tight. I know that when we were actively involved, we had such a wait list, it was ridiculous because you can't find affordable housing. So when funding shrinks in this environment, the impact is multiplied. Now, this is why homelessness surges do not happen gradually. They accelerate and they reach a tipping point. And once that point is crossed, recovery becomes exponentially harder. And that's what has me at a place where I am adamant about reaching out to our leadership to making something shift and something happen. Now, this is not fear-based language that I'm giving. This is truly system behavior. And it is why waiting to respond is not neutral. Us being inactive is really us making the decision to do something is nothing. So inaction, by us simply not responding, we are making a decision. So I want to implore upon our leaders about helping and stepping in to make this shift happen, because the cost of that decision, the decision of doing nothing, is paid by the people who have the least margin, and those are the ones that I am advocating for. So if this information resonates with you, then subscribe to my channel and be sure to turn on the notifications, because in the next episode, we're going to talk about why government cannot solve this alone and why rebuilding community participation is not optional, it's required. Because if community does not re-enter the equation, this cycle will repeat no matter how much funding is restored later. So stay with me, and we are just getting to the heart of this series. I'll see you at the next episode.